Have you ever thought about what really happens the moment life changes forever? The moment your partner, the person you shared everything with, is no longer there? It's a thought most of us push aside because it hurts too much to even imagine. But the truth is, for millions of older adults, this painful moment does come. And in the middle of that deep grief, there are decisions to make, important decisions that can affect the rest of your life. Sadly, many seniors, blinded by shock and loneliness, say yes to things they should never agree to. And those mistakes? They can cost not just money, but health, peace of mind, and the very security your spouse wanted you to have. When you lose your spouse, the world seems to stop. Days feel empty, and the future feels uncertain. Your mind is heavy with grief, but the world around you keeps moving, bringing bills to pay, papers to sign, relatives giving advice, and sometimes even strangers offering quick solutions. It feels overwhelming. This is the moment when most costly mistakes happen, because you are trying to survive the heartbreak while being pushed to make big decisions you're not ready for. Let's talk about the first mistake many people make after losing a spouse. Saying yes to selling your home too quickly. Your home is not just a building. It is the place where you built memories together, where every corner whispers a story of your life. But after the loss, some relatives, or even real estate agents, might push you to sell the house right away. They'll say things like, "It's too big for you now," or "You can't live alone here." And in the fog of grief, you might agree, thinking it will take away the pain. But here's the truth, selling your home too soon often leads to regret. When the emotional storm passes, you might realize you weren't ready to let go of that place yet. And worse, sometimes homes get sold for far less than they're worth because decisions were rushed. I remember reading about a woman named Margaret who lost her husband of 50 years. Within 2 months, her son convinced her to sell the family home, saying it was for her own good. She moved into a small apartment, thinking it would be easier. But soon, the loneliness grew worse. She missed her neighbors, her garden, the familiar sound of the front door her husband built with his own hands. Margaret admitted later that selling the house so quickly was the biggest mistake of her life. She wished someone had told her to wait, at least a year, before making such a big change. So here is the advice. If your spouse passes away first, never rush into selling your home. Give yourself time to heal. Grief clouds your judgment, and what feels like the right decision today may feel like a mistake tomorrow. Wait until your mind and heart are clearer before deciding on something so permanent. Now, let's talk about the second mistake. Letting others handle your finances without full trust or understanding. When you lose a spouse, there's often life insurance, bank accounts, pensions, and savings to deal with. It can feel like too much to handle while grieving, so many people hand over control to someone else. Maybe a family member, a friend, or a financial advisor they barely know. And while some people have good intentions, not everyone does. Sadly, many seniors have lost their life savings because they trusted the wrong person at the wrong time. Imagine this, you're in deep grief, and someone says, "Don't worry about a thing. I'll handle all the money for you. You just sign here." It sounds comforting, but it can be dangerous. Once the money is gone, it's often too late to get it back. Even well-meaning relatives might make decisions that aren't right for you, simply because they don't fully understand your needs. One man named Robert shared how, after losing his wife, he let his nephew handle all his finances. The nephew was young and made risky investments, thinking it would grow the money fast. Instead, most of the savings disappeared within a year. Robert said he wished he had taken things slowly and learned about his options first, rather than letting someone else make big choices during such a vulnerable time. So, what should you do instead? Take small steps. Talk to more than one financial expert. Ask questions until you truly understand. Keep control of your money until you feel ready and confident. There is no rush to make big financial decisions right after a loss. Give yourself permission to wait. In this first part, we've covered just 2 of the 5 costly mistakes: selling your home too quickly and handing over financial control before you're ready. Both are easy traps to fall into when grief takes over, because at that moment, you just want someone else to fix things for you. But the truth is, rushing into these decisions can make life harder in the long run. In the next part, we'll uncover two more mistakes that often happen quietly, without anyone noticing until it's too late. These are the choices that can leave you feeling lonely, financially unstable, or emotionally drained for years. And knowing them now could save you from a lot of pain later. Because here's the thing, your spouse would want you to be safe, secure, and cared for, not pressured into choices you're not ready to make. So take a deep breath, hold on, and join me in part 2 as we reveal more of these costly mistakes and how to protect yourself from them. What if I told you that the biggest dangers after losing a spouse aren't always the obvious ones? What if the real problems slowly creep in, hidden behind friendly faces, emotional advice, or even your own loneliness, and by the time you realize it, it's too late? This is what happens to so many seniors after their partner passes away. In the middle of grief, when your heart is heavy and your mind is tired, you might not see the traps in front of you. And the truth is, some of the most common mistakes happen quietly, without anyone noticing, until they create real pain, financially, emotionally, and even physically. In part 1, we talked about rushing to sell your home and giving away financial control too soon. Both are big mistakes, but there are more, and they can be just as costly. The third mistake people make after losing a spouse is saying yes to isolation. It might not sound like a decision, but it is. When your spouse was alive, you had someone to talk to every day. Someone who cared about your health, your meals, your feelings. But when they're gone, the silence in the house can feel unbearable. At first, you might want to be alone because you think it will help you process the pain. Friends call, neighbors invite you out, but you say, "Not today, maybe later." Before you know it, days turn into weeks and weeks into months. Slowly, isolation becomes your new normal, and that can be one of the most dangerous things for seniors. Because loneliness doesn't just hurt your heart emotionally, it hurts your health physically. Studies show that prolonged loneliness in older adults can increase the risk of heart problems, memory loss, depression, and even shorten life expectancy. When your spouse passes, you lose not only your partner but also your daily companion, and filling that silence with nothing but sadness can take you down a dark road. I read about a man named Harold who lost his wife of 47 years. After the funeral, friends kept calling, inviting him to community dinners, church events, and senior activities. But Harold always said no. He felt tired, uninterested, and thought he just needed to be alone. A year later, Harold realized he hadn't made any new friends, rarely left the house, and his health had declined badly. He said he wished someone had told him early on that loneliness was a choice, and that saying yes to life again was the only way to heal. So here's the advice. If your spouse passes away, don't say yes to isolation. Even if it's hard, even if it feels uncomfortable at first, push yourself to stay connected. Join a club, attend church groups, volunteer, call relatives, or meet neighbors for coffee. It's not about replacing your spouse, it's about keeping your heart open to life so grief doesn't close it forever. The fourth mistake happens in a different way, but it's just as dangerous, agreeing to major lifestyle changes too quickly. When someone loses their spouse, emotions run high. Some people suddenly decide to move to another city, marry again quickly, or give away belongings that hold deep memories. At first, it might feel like a way to escape the pain. If I change everything, they think, maybe it won't hurt so much. But these fast decisions often bring regret later, when the emotions calm down and reality sets in. One woman named Eleanor shared how, after her husband died, she felt she couldn't stay in the same town because everywhere reminded her of him. Within 3 months, she sold the house, gave away most of her things, and moved 2 states away to live near a distant cousin. At first, it felt like a fresh start, but soon, the loneliness returned. She missed her old friends, her church, her neighbors who knew her for years. The cousin had her own life and couldn't give Eleanor the company she thought she would have. Eleanor admitted she wished she had stayed longer, given herself time to heal before making such a huge change. Big decisions made in grief are often based on feelings, not facts. And feelings can change over time. That's why experts recommend waiting at least a year before making any major life changes after losing a spouse. Your emotions need time to settle so your decisions can be wise, not impulsive. So in this part, we've uncovered 2 more hidden dangers, saying yes to isolation and agreeing to major lifestyle changes too quickly. Both can slowly rob you of happiness, stability, and peace without you even realizing it. The first keeps you trapped in loneliness. The second pushes you into changes you might later regret. And both happen because grief makes us want to escape the pain fast. But healing doesn't work that way. In part 3, we will talk about the final costly mistake, the one many seniors never see coming until it's too late. This last mistake can leave you emotionally, financially, and spiritually drained if you're not careful. But knowing about it in advance can protect you and help you rebuild life with strength, dignity, and hope. Because losing a spouse doesn't mean losing yourself. The goal is not just to survive after such a loss, but to live again, with wisdom, security, and even joy. So stay with me as we move to part 3, where we uncover the last costly mistake and talk about how to avoid all 5 so you can truly protect your future. What if the biggest mistake after losing a spouse isn't about money, moving, or loneliness, but about something deeper? Something that slowly eats away at your happiness and future without you even realizing it? This final mistake is the one so many seniors fall into after a partner passes away, and it can leave you feeling powerless for years. In the first 2 parts, we uncovered 4 major mistakes: selling your home too quickly, giving away financial control, saying yes to isolation, and making big life changes too soon. Each one brings its own pain. But there is one more mistake, a silent one, that can shape the rest of your life if you're not careful. And that is saying yes to hopelessness. When your spouse passes away, it feels like the end of your story too. Many seniors tell themselves, "My life is over now. Nothing good can happen anymore." They stop making plans, stop caring about their health, stop dreaming about the future. Days become empty, and they feel like life has no meaning without the person they loved most. But here's the truth. Losing your spouse is heartbreaking, but it does not mean losing your entire future. It doesn't mean the years ahead have to be lonely, empty, or meaningless. Yet so many seniors give up on themselves without realizing it. They stop eating well, stop exercising, stop checking on their health because they think, "What's the point?" This slow slide into hopelessness can lead to depression, sickness, and isolation, and it takes away the chance to rebuild life in a new way. I read about a man named George who lost his wife at 79. For 2 years, he did nothing but sit at home, watching TV and avoiding friends. He felt too old to start again, too tired to care about anything. But then, at 81, a neighbor invited him to join a senior hiking group. At first, he resisted, saying he was too old. But eventually he went. That single yes changed everything. George started making friends, traveling with the group, and even began volunteering at a local school to help children read. He said later, "I thought my life ended when my wife passed, but it turned out I had a whole new chapter waiting." That's why this final mistake, saying yes to hopelessness, is so dangerous. Because it steals the future your spouse would have wanted you to enjoy. The person you lost would not want you to give up. They would want you to be safe, healthy, and maybe even happy again. So how do you avoid this final mistake? First, take care of your health. See your doctor, eat well, walk every day. Second, stay socially connected. Even small chats with neighbors or phone calls to friends help. Third, find a purpose. It doesn't have to be big: gardening, reading to children, helping at church, learning something new online, anything that makes you feel alive again. Now, let's quickly look back at all 5 costly mistakes we've covered across these 3 parts. 1. Selling your home too quickly. Take time before making such a big decision. Wait until emotions settle. 2. Handing over financial control too soon. Stay informed. Don't let anyone pressure you into quick decisions with your money. 3. Saying yes to isolation. Stay connected. Talk to friends, join groups, let life back in. 4. Making major life changes too fast. Give yourself at least a year before moving or making big changes. 5. Saying yes to hopelessness. Take care of your health, stay socially active, and find purpose again. Each of these mistakes is easy to make when grief feels unbearable. But now that you know about them, you have the power to avoid them. You can protect your future, your health, and your happiness by taking things slowly, asking for help when needed, and remembering that life, even after loss, can still hold meaning. So here's my advice. Don't rush, don't isolate, and don't give up on yourself. Your spouse's memory can be honored by the way you live moving forward, with strength, wisdom, and hope. And if this video has helped you, share it with someone who might need these words today. Because you never know who is quietly struggling after losing a spouse and could be one decision away from one of these costly mistakes. Also, don't forget to subscribe for more advice, tips, and encouragement designed especially for seniors like you. Together, we can make sure the next chapter of your life is filled with strength, peace, and maybe even joy again. Because the truth is, your story isn't over yet. And the best way to honor the love you lost is to keep living well, with courage, with wisdom, and with hope.